This is the Multiorgasmic Mama, the podcast for high-achieving moms to have sex worth putting the energy in for. I'm Tilly Storm, a holistic sex and intimacy coach, and it's my mission to help you want sex again, to have better orgasms, and to feel confident and sexy so you experience more pleasure in the bedroom and beyond. Welcome back to the Multiorgasmic Mama podcast. It's Tilly here, very refreshed from my family vacation to the Dominican Republic in Puerto Rico, and excited that the kids are back in school, which I'm sure many of you are right there with me, being very excited for our children to go back to school and do productive things. Yes. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 steps to having more energy for sex. If you're tired, if you find yourself giving excuses not to connect, like, maybe later, I'm too tired now, I'd rather watch a movie and chill and relax and all these things and blah, 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 blah. I hear this so much, and I honestly get a little tired of hearing these excuses because making your pleasure a priority and your sex life a priority is very important for maintaining peace and love and connection in your relationship. But if you're always giving excuses not to connect, like, I'm too tired, then when are you actually going to connect? Because the truth is, most of us are worn out and tired and overwhelmed very often. And today I want to tell you how to stop feeling that way. First of all, you are the creator of your time. You make time for the things that are a priority in your life. I do not buy into excuses. I don't buy into the narrative that time is finite and that you only have so much of it. I think that's bullshit. I think that we can make time for anything that we find important in our life, but a lot of us don't make time for things that we think are important because we're living out values that we were raised with, and we've never really considered them or looked into them or questioned them to see if the values that we were raised with are in alignment with the values we actually hold as grown-ass adults. So now that I've given my spiel on prioritizing your sex life and time, and how time and not having energy for things is just an excuse, I want to tell you how you can stop making an excuse. The first way that you can have more energy for sex is to start allowing yourself to feel your feelings. I know that sounds kind of basic maybe, or surprising or unrelated, but the amount of energy that you spend pushing your emotions down, suppressing your emotions, numbing yourself out via shopping, wine, weed, whatever it is for you that you tend to do to not feel your feelings, Netflix and chill, I don't know. The amount of energy that you waste doing these things because you are afraid to feel what you are actually experiencing inside is insurmountable. You're leaking energy all over the place by keeping a lid on your feelings and emotions. And the second that you choose to take the lid off, then you will begin to regain and reclaim energy. I go really deep into having more energy in my 5 days to epic sex and pleasure for high achieving women training. So if you haven't downloaded that training yet, you definitely want to check it out. You can go to tilly-storm.com, or you can just click the link in the show notes to get there. This is for sure where I go the most deeply and share the most succinctly about having energy for sex and why you don't, and emotions and all the things, and how feeling your feelings is so important. So the first step to having more energy for sex is to stop leaking it all over the place by numbing yourself out and avoiding what you're actually feeling inside. The second step is to ignite your pilot light. Yes, we all have an inner pilot light that we can draw on to have energy and turn on at the drop of a dime. While most women experience responsive desire versus spontaneous desire, when you have an ignited pilot light, This responsive desire becomes a lot more accessible to actually have an experience turn on and desire, because you're not having to go and start the whole turn on process over again. Now, I always say that the turn on and foreplay happens after the end of a sexual experience. You're already going to want to be igniting turn on and desire and cultivating desire after you have a sexual experience with a partner. And this is what makes the difference between a woman who is got her mojo back versus a woman who is flatlined, her life is dull, colors aren't very vibrant or bright, life is kind of boring. When a woman is turned on and in her pleasure, then that vibrancy, the aliveness, the juice, the mojo, the energy, the turn on, the pleasure, the desire, all of that is flooding the system. So to begin getting that mojo flowing, the best way to do it is to start a sexual cultivation and training practice, such as a jade egg practice. Or if you're not into the jade egg, you can just do a self-pleasure practice. I know a lot of women are sitting here thinking, good God, another thing I have to put on my to-do list, self-pleasure. Or I'm already in a relationship. Why do I need to self-pleasure? Or I want to save any turn on and desire that I already have for my partner, because I hardly ever feel turn on and desire. So why would I use that to self-pleasure? Let me make it clear. Self-pleasure, when I tell you to start a sexual cultivation practice or self-pleasure, I don't mean that you need to use your already short-fused energy to come to orgasm or to give yourself an orgasm. I mean that this is a very intentional cultivation practice to do step number 3, which is to build up your energy body. All of mainstream sexual education and sexuality completely disregards sexual energy and the energetics of sex. Why? Because it's kind of esoteric. It's kind of hard to talk about or explain. There aren't many words to explain it properly. And while I'm going to do my best to try and explain it, there are limitations to words to speaking of sexual energy and how you can build up your energy body through a sexual cultivation practice like the jade egg. Sexual energy is nothing but turn on, mojo, juice, desire, any of those things that I was just talking about. You can experience sexual energy as you can experience when you're outside on a cold day and your hands are freezing to death and you come inside, you put them by a warm fire, and you start to feel the heat begin to rise from your fingertips up your arm. You can perceive heat moving through your body. This is the same with sexual energy. Many men in particular, but there are several women, especially some of the women in my programs, have a difficult time connecting to sexual energy or perceiving sexual energy. And there's a couple tips I'm going to give you on that. But really, all it is experiencing turn on that is sourced from your genitals and being able to consciously move it and cultivate it through the rest of your body. In the Taoist tradition, you have your 3 energy centers, your lower dantian, your middle dantian, and your upper dantian. Whereas in the tantric tradition, you have the chakras. The Taoist tradition with the 3 energy centers is basically a condensed version of the chakra system. They're the same thing, different words, different way to categorize it. Doesn't really matter. The point is, when you're cultivating energy body, when you're building up that energy body through a sexual cultivation and training practice, through self-pleasure or the jade egg, you are building up your system so that the pilot light is always on and you don't have to go and restart the whole process again. Most women are so depleted of Jing Qi, sexual energy, turn on, whatever you want to call it, that it's hard. It's difficult. It feels like a challenge to get turned on, to experience desire and arousal and pleasure in your body. Well, this is why, because you're freaking depleted as fuck. And if you were actually to put some time and attention on this, not as another to-do list or another thing that you just have to do, why can't he do it for me? Instead of thinking it like that, if you knew that this pleasure was for you, if you knew that the energy was for you so you could live a happier, more fulfilled, more more satisfying life, then it's not coming from this place of, oh, another thing I have to do. No. We're going to leave that attitude at the door because that's not helpful. This is for you. Your pleasure, your energy is for you so you can thrive. Not so you can be this super sexual woman that your partner may want, right? It's not for them. It's for your benefit, and they thereby get to benefit from you being benefited by your own sexuality. And when you're connecting to sexual energy, it's so important because it gives you greater access to different kinds of orgasmic experiences and different experiences of pleasure in and of itself. Sexual energy. All right, let's go a little deeper into this. If you struggle with connecting to sexual energy or perceiving it, I want you to think of the word proprioception. Proprioception is where you can experience or envision where you are spatially in the field. This is where if you close your eyes, if you suck at balancing postures in yoga, or if your balance isn't that great, you probably don't have great proprioception. Proprioception is the ability to perceive where you are in space or what's happening within a context or a container. I don't know what the actual definition is. I did not look it up for you, but I'm just telling you from my own experience of what I know. Proprioception is being able to perceive what's happening in your body, where your body is in space. And people who aren't very sensitive to energy and people who aren't very connected to their body are going to struggle with proprioception. One way that you can begin to increase your ability to experience increased proprioception and a greater connection to your body and the energy within your body is to rub your hands together really fast. Like, I don't know if you can hear me doing that, but you're rubbing your hands together. And then you're going to all of a sudden begin to pull them apart very, very, very slowly. And you'll notice that there's this exchange, that there's this energy bouncing in between your hands. If you can perceive that, then you know that you absolutely have the ability to connect to sexual energy and to perceive it. This is a very basic practice. So if you're not driving, and if you can do it right now, I want you to do that. Rub your hands together really quick and then slowly pull them apart. This is what it's like to perceive your sexual energy and turn on in your pelvis, and to be able to intentionally and consciously move it through your body. There are 3 ways to move sexual energy through your body. You can move it with your mind. So your sexual energy is moving through your body always, whether you perceive it or not. And you can create the intention to move the energy and to use this energy where you're focusing the energy to follow. And this is a great way to develop a keen focus and attention on what's happening inside of your body. If you're one of these people, like most of you, that are super stuck in your head, focusing on sexual energy and bringing your attention into what you're feeling and experiencing in your body is so important. The second way to move sexual energy is with your breath. As you breathe, you're moving sexual energy, you're inhaling, pulling that sexual energy up from your pelvis and to other parts of your body, and you're exhaling, pushing the sexual energy back down into your sexual center. The third way to move sexual energy is using the muscles in your body. So if you're a guy, then you can squeeze your PC muscle, clench it to bring sexual energy through the body. And if you're a woman, then you can pull the energy up the back of the spine to the top of the head, and then on an inhale, and then you exhale, move that energy down the front of your body, all the way back into your pelvis through what we call the microcosmic orbit. So you're going up the back of the spine to the top of the head, and then you're exhaling it back down. So you're using your perineum or perineum. I don't know how it's technically pronounced, nor do I really care. But you're using your perineum to inhale, like slightly squeeze your perineum, and you can move energy up the back of the body to the top of the head, and then exhale it down the front of the body. This is how you begin to move sexual energy through the body. So building up your energy body is I see it time and time again when people start the Sensually Embodied Woman program. It takes about a month, maybe 2 months, and they start feeling alive again. They're like, oh my God, like I didn't know I had access to this kind of energy or this level of energy before. It's pretty remarkable what happens when you start a sexual cultivation practice, because this means that you aren't using necessarily the energy to have an orgasm. You're putting in a little bit of effort, a little bit of time and attention to build up this highly, highly depleted energy body of Jing Qi. Jing Qi is life force sexual energy. Jing Qi turns into Qi life energy, which turns into Shen or spiritual energy in the Taoist tradition. And if you don't have a well-resourced, built-up energy body of Jing Qi sexual energy, you will not have the energy to do life. You won't have the energy to go to the soccer practices, bring the kids to school every day, do all the freaking things, hold the full-time job, or start the business. You're not going to have the energy for that. And it's going to be extremely challenging with a depleted sexual Jing Qi energy to have the energy for a friggin' spiritual awakening or to access the spiritual cosmic realm, because it takes a lot of energy to sit there and meditate. And it takes a lot of energy and focus and intention to create the time and space in your life so that you're not held back by the cultural conditioning and the cultural norm of most women these days, especially if you're a mom, to do all the things, be the people pleaser, be the overgiver, and the overachiever. It takes a lot of energy to break out of that conditioning, and that's what I'm here to help you with, so you have a better sex life. I have a personal client right now who has a full-time job and has a business and 4 kids, and part of our work together is really about her being able to reclaim time back so that her desire gets reignited because she's not so stressed out anymore. And it's remarkable what happens when the business starts to take off and she works on her own energy, and then she becomes free to quit the day job. And then when she quits the day job and she's just doing what she loves in her life, then how much more turned on and how much more connected to her partner is she going to be, right? It's a snowball effect, really, that when you put in the initial effort to feel the feelings, to have the courage, the brevity to go there, and then you begin to ignite that pilot light by starting a sexual cultivation practice with your partner or with yourself, and you begin to build up your energy body and begin to cultivate it. So there's a way that we store the energy in the lower dantian in the Taoist tradition that I teach my clients to do. And this is all part of having energy for sex. I know it sounds like, what the fuck? This isn't the type of advice I was thinking that Tilly would be giving, or maybe it is because you've been listening to me for a while and this is nothing less than you would expect. But if you're new here and you're like, I don't get it, or this is weird, or sexual energy, isn't that some weird tantric stuff? No, it's not fucking weird. It's not fucking weird at all. Feeling your feelings is normal. And if you haven't been connected to your feelings for a while, then, and you haven't been letting them move through you, you've been suppressing and repressing them, then it's no wonder you're tired all the time and overwhelmed all the time and living out the conditioning of how you were raised to do life and experience life. So if you're ready to break out of that, I want you to go download the 5 Days to Epic Sex and Pleasure for High Achieving Women training, because I go very deeply into much of the topics that I've just discussed with you today and so much more, that this is definitely by far the most complete, concise, succinct training on how to have epic sex if you are a high-achieving, over-giving, people-pleasing type of woman. It's amazing. It's epic. So head to tilly-storm.com or simply click on the link in the show notes to download that training today. Thanks so much for joining me, my loves. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye. Chances are, if you hear my voice right now, you might be a woman who struggles with lack of libido or desire, doesn't find sex that fulfilling or satisfying, or that's so busy and in your head that it's really challenging to drop in and actually enjoy sex when it happens. Yes, this podcast is here to help you with that. In each episode, I will be sharing everything I know to help you experience more pleasure in your sex life. But let's face it, simply obtaining more information isn't going to change anything about your sex life. The thing is, being a high-achieving mom who's already in her head a lot and is strapped for time and energy, more information is not what you need, sweetheart. Alternatively, learning to rewire your body and your brain so you can get out of your head, be in your body, and enjoy yourself is required. If you're really serious and committed to doing the embodiment practices, the somatic and the nervous system reprogramming, so you can experience epic sex in the bedroom and beyond, then I invite you to consider my Sensually Embodied Woman program. This is my signature program to teach and to coach high-achieving moms like you. And it's how over 70 women have experienced a massive increase in their sexual desire and pleasure in the bedroom and beyond in less than 4 months. Through the program, you'll get deep, intimate coaching from me for 16 weeks, where I'll be able to personally guide you through your specific sex life and relationship struggles. And you'll also instantly join a sisterhood of other high-level women going through the same things to support you on the journey. On top of that, in addition to all of the coaching, the community, the accountability, the teachings, and the audio-guided embodiment practices and meditations, when you join the Sensually Embodied Woman program, you'll get lifetime access to our member library with new bonus content that we're continually adding in. And by the way, the program does help you to become a multi-orgasmic mama too. So yes, you can rely on just the information I share with you here, and yes, you may get the pleasure education you never got growing up. You may grow the ovaries enough to break the ice with your partner and have a meaningful conversation about your sex life, or you could take the shortcut and get the support you're going to need right off the bat. So if you're ready to commit to doing what it takes to have epic sex and pleasure in the next 4 months, then click the link in the show notes and fill out an application for the Sensually Embodied Woman program, and you'll be on your way to joining my magical world of multi-orgasmic motherhood and fast-tracking your journey to a thriving sex life and relationship today. Once again, hit the link in the show notes to apply for the Sensually Embodied Woman, and I'll see you there in the program.